what open source distributions are using for managing their own infrastructure, you're probably right in this talk. We first want to give a short introduction around what hardware we have, what tools we use, and then just open it for a panel discussion, for a question and answer session for you to give you a deeper insight. I think the first slides are from Magaya, so I just pass the...
Okay, so yeah. So I have 5 slides to present our infrastructure. So can you... So first, we are self-hosting. We have around 10 servers. From server, I also count ARM board and a small virtual machine, so it's not a lot. And we are self-hosting almost since 4 days. We are using lots of Puppet to configure everything. I will explain this in the next session. Next, we are using LDAP, like I think everybody, and most standard software, so there is nothing specific to present. So I will let someone else speak. I do not know who is next. A volunteer? I can speak for you if you want, but... Okay, Debian.
Okay. So, Can you try to help her?
There's a distribution joke in there somewhere.
No, the first slide. Yeah. Well, my name is Martin Sovehellas. I'm from the Debian sysadmin team. All in all, we are currently 6 Debian system administrators. Faiden is from the system administration team here. The rest is not here. We have Luca from Canada, Peter from Austria, Stephen from UK, and Tolev from Sweden. Norway. And next one. Next slide. No? No. Well, what we provide is infrastructure for the different teams within Debian, which is website, CD building, wiki. Well, the huge number of teams build these, for example. We run we run centralized services like email and LDAP for account management, hosting all the change routes for the different architectures. The sysadmin team currently takes care of about 170 machines at all over the world, with 14 different architectures in, I think, something like 35 different hosting locations. Well, and our daily work we do is taking care of the systems, taking care of the hardware. And the tools. Huh?
And 2 kernels,
yeah.
Linux and KFreeBSD as well. So 2 of the architectures are FreeBSD ones. Which is
tools we use beside Swiss Army knife are Puppet. We use something called UDLDAP, UserDLDAP, a self-written tool to distribute accounts over to the different machines, which is actually just a BDB dump or a flat file dump of account and SSH keys and so on. We use Git for as version control system and Puppet to have all the configuration synced around.
Nagios for monitoring and Munin and a whole lot of other software to monitor the infrastructure. And
Next one, yeah.
Yeah.
CentOS?
We can have the slides. I'll try that with the next slides. I'm from Centis. We have like around 100 servers we care for, and most of those are standing in different data centers. So it's 100 servers, 98 data centers. Because those are all sponsored machines by people who run CentOS on their hardware, so mostly hosters. Most of the machines are in the US and in Europe. We have no machines in Africa. I don't think there's one machine. Oh, there might be one machine in Australia, a few in Asia. Most of those you can find in the mirror.centos.org system, so which is our internal mirroring system for feeding the other mirrors, the official mirrors. Then we have a few things like, well, build machines and QA testing machines, a mail server, web server. Most of those are CentOS 5. There are still a few CentOS 4 systems around. Well, we still have until the end of the month to do something against that. Tools we use Puppet for our configuration management, which also does our account management because we're only 4 people in there, so we just push SSH keys around. And we're using Zabbix for monitoring. Yeah, and that's about the tools we use.
Next. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Dave Walker. I'm from the Ubuntu server infrastructure team. Incidentally, that doesn't mean I'm one of the sysadmins. I'm one of the platform developers. So perhaps I'm not the best person to be seating here because I'm I'm a little bit out of my depth here. But I know that we have a lot of machines, and we don't maintain all of our own mirrors. There are some mirrors also maintained by other organizations. Many of our machines are managed by Puppet as well. That was a big transition that went in a while ago. And we do centralized user management using LDAP as well. We also have one of the big efforts we've got is also mirrors in Amazon's cloud, which are maintained by Canonical, and that is enabled for people to have a good experience within the actual cloud as well, because people were noticing significant latency, yeah, I think that's all I can really say about that. Okay, thank you.
So my name is Tom Calloway. I'm the Fedora engineering manager. We run a mix of Windows and Solaris machine. No, I'm just kidding. It just seems kind of redundant to be repeating the same things that everybody else repeats. But yeah, we have hundreds of machines. They all run various flavors of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, just because we need more updates than we can provide ourselves. We have our account system. We have all the normal services that you would expect. We use Puppet to push those out. We don't use LDAP, which makes us special, I guess. I don't know. We do a lot to keep the bad guys out and let the good guys in, and make sure that we provide everything from builders to bug reporting systems, all sorts of stuff. It's a mix of Red Hat-owned equipment, donated services. We are geographically distributed pretty much everywhere except for Antarctica, and we're working on that one. We have a team of people that are paid by Red Hat to be the admins for the core, but we have 3 times as many people that are volunteer admins that have the same level of access. So we're very proud of that, and we have a mentoring program so that if you're interested in helping us run things or build new apps, you can do that. We are also 100% free software. So everything that we run is either written by us to solve a specific purpose and is released as free software, or it is free software that we found from other places, stuff like Nagios that, keeps our pagers and our phones beeping all night long. So that's it.
Okay, it's time for me. I'm Lars Vogt from the OpenSUSE infrastructure team. And, well, I noticed that I have to be here right some minutes before. So what we have and what makes us different is maybe that we are paid by Novel or no by SUSE. And what we have as differentiator is that we are using proprietary stuff, and that's especially for the accounts for all our users. We are using the Novel Access Manager there. and currently trying to migrate to LDAP. So there's work in progress. All the other tools that I heard here are also used by us. And some other thing that makes us currently a bit different maybe is our build farm with the OpenSUSE build service, which is also managed by my team. Okay?
So, open for discussion, open for questions. Are there any questions you would like to ask your favorite Linux distribution? Sure.
Could you just repeat the question?
Yeah, the question was about dedicated build team machines. Yes, Debian has dedicated machines used for building a binary package out of the source code. I think that's the most part of our infrastructure even. Each architecture has about 2 to 4 build teams at the moment to build software. So yes. Aurel, do you want to? Can you comment on that? You're probably a bit nearer to the build-these stuff. Yeah.
Delegate.
Micro? Hold.
Maybe you have to come down.
Yeah, just come down, Aurel.
We're going to do the question.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, the question is maybe a bit different. It's not about the build elements for buildings, automatically things that are uploaded in the archive, but build services, so user can upload a package to a web interface and it's automatically built. It's not something we have in Debian, but we have what we call PortalBox. So for all the architectures, Debian developers have access to the machine. They can ask for package to be installed, and they can debug or build packages there in a root. I don't know if it answers the question or. Yeah, well, you build the package you want to upload, you build it at home for one architectures. It arrives in the archive, and then the build elements built for the other architectures.
Yeah.
Sure.
So on that note, is Debian the only distribution which allows packages to be built and uploaded and published in their archive, which aren't built from the infrastructure?
I think currently yes, but FTP masters are going to change that. All binary packages are built on Debian system administrated build daemons. This is going to change. I don't know exactly when, but there is a planning for that.
Is there any other distro which allows that?
You can't be heard. Hold on.
Hmm? That was from Gentoo.
But it's not binary blobs though, is it?
Try it.
We have a machine that does continuous building of packages in various configure flags, configure switches, so we can test various configurations of the flags.
But when the actual person uploads, I mean, it's built by the distribution managed infrastructure. It's not by individual developers, right?
No, it's built by the individual users, but but anyone can upload source packages that point to any binary. So,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the floor? Okay. Excuse me.
Well, I have a question for every one of you. Well, I'm wanting to create a new distribution. I need an infrastructure. Which one of you can provide me a ready-to-use infrastructure for a new distribution?
Okay, we'll start this and work that way.
So I hear Canonical is more than willing to do that for you.
Well, we provide Puppet stuff, but you need to install, and I think you should choose something done by someone else than us.
Depends if you just need hardware or if you need the build service.
Just an infrastructure. I'll provide the hardware.
Okay. So it's, I guess, the same for all distributions. Somewhere you can find the SVN or a Git code where all the Puppet stuff is stored and then deploy it. And hopefully you find the right distribution.
Well, my answer will be a little bit different because everybody uses almost the same tools. You have heard about LDAP, Puppet. Sometimes it differs, but usually there's all the same tools. But the question you have to answer first is, which are your goals? Which are the problems you want to solve within your infrastructure if you want to solve something? And if it's not solved yet, if it's not done yet, we are at an open source conference. So build it, do it yourself, release it free.
What he says.
Hello. First of all, I would say you're crazy. Why? I mean, honestly, you must be so crazy to consider. I mean, I don't think people appreciate how much effort has to go in by every distribution just to try and get to the state they are. And, you know, without substantial sort of manpower, you know, just the actual testing alone of let alone the actual infrastructure. But to actually answer what you actually asked rather than just insulting you, I should probably say that something Ubuntu has developed mainly around our bug tracking and specification, and our whole sort of project management suite is called Launchpad. And one of the functionalities that offers is we open our buildies to other people to use. And they're a thing called per package archives. So you can upload source packages for any Ubuntu supported release, and we build it and we publish it. It's not promising to be on a fast pipe, you know, as in, you know, you might want to be mirroring from there, which is something, there was a distribution I created based on Ubuntu called Mythbuntu. I was involved with many others. But what we did for our users to be able to get them faster archives, so it's based on Ubuntu, we actually mirrored from the published archives that Launchpad provides. And our users were happy with that. We just had that on a either rsync or apt-mirror or something, I can't remember now. But that worked quite well. So yes, we can assist with people doing that.
Well, the thing you should be aware of that the system administration, if you do it for a free project, is quite a lot of stuff to do. Currently, I think every one of the system administration team spends 1 to 2 hours a day doing the system administration for the 170 servers, something like this. So it's a lot of time to spend. Any more questions?
Okay. Hold on, we're just over here first. I have the microphone. There you go.
Oh, hi. Sorry. I have a question. So, how many of you runs services and not just machines? Like people making web apps or something that you host in your machines, and that's usually not the people doing sysadmin. And so I wanted to ask, in your environment, what's the relationship? Do you maintain like list of responsible people? Do you have some coordination among web services? And also, I would like to ask if you have internal, who of you has internal infrastructure like AMQP servers or something, not just bare hardware management, but a bit more high level to offer more coordination inside your machines?
Do you guys have the mic down there?
Well, for Debian, we recently created a Debian Services admin list, trying to do some coordination there. It's still growing. It's still in the process of forming itself. We do have a QA team which runs a lot of web services, which usually just contacts the DSA, Debian System Administrators, and ask. And for most of the parts, we allow the users to do quite a lot of things to do themselves if they are within certain groups. So reloading Apache, for instance, is one of the things. If the configuration is sane, then a group of persons not belonging to the system administrators are able to do so as well.
Regarding services we provide for the Ubuntu community, we provide some hosting for some of our community, our geographic separated communities, for their websites, and we also there are a number of services we also provide to Ubuntu members, people who've shown a sustained and significant contribution towards Ubuntu, also allowed to have a ubuntu.com email address, and that's something which is managed as well. And that's a redirection or an alias. So that's a public service. But I mean, there's also a fine line between what is the Canonical, being the company that puts a lot of input into Ubuntu. They have a lot of significant infrastructure, which also overlaps with the Ubuntu project's infrastructure as well. And so there's kind of difficult to sort of draw a line between some of the services which are provided, because there's some which are provided for the business side of Canonical, for such as internal telephony and things like that. I mean, that's in the same data center and things. So we also test some of our own software, such as we have an internal OpenStack, which we called Canonastack, which allows people to be able to spin up their own instances and be able to have an internal cloud, which is a hybrid public-private. So, I mean, we have some sort of split infrastructure.
We don't have that many services run by other people, but there are a few instances like the French forums. They are not run by, they run on a machine of ours, but they're not run by ourselves. Or one of the QA people who's not in the sysadmin team, he's running a Jenkins instance for continuous integration. And there are a few other things like that. So if you want to do something for the project and you say, well, I need hardware for that, I need hardware for doing so, for helping you. And if we know you from at least IRC or at best personally, you normally are able to get a VM from us to do that.
Can I just add one more thing there? The actual Ubuntu forums used to be purely community hosted, which weren't involved with the Canonical. And there was an incident a few years ago where the forums got hacked, because these PHP forums, they're a time bomb, and it actually did Ubuntu a lot of damage, because it said, hey, Ubuntu's been hacked. Ubuntu must be insecure, and it actually did Ubuntu a lot of damage. So the actual sysadmin teams, they had to get more involved with the actual management of the forums, purely because of the damage it could cause.
Okay, what we are doing is more or less like providing an infrastructure. If people come to us and ask if they, for example, can place their SVN server for KDE or so in our server rooms, it's sometimes a bit of a discussion if it's okay or not, but most of the time our CTOs are agreed. And what we provide for the OpenSUSE infrastructure is also the same. It depends what people need. If they say, okay, I'm a crazy web developer and I need everything to develop my web applications, they get a virtual machine from us and get everything that they need on this machine. And if they say, okay, I'm a crazy web developer, but I don't even know anything about system administration, we share. So we have the login for doing all the updates and all the configuration stuff, and they get the same login for all their web apps and setting up and so on. So it's sharing, and the most problem, I guess, for all here is communication inside the community, because most of the time, you as system administrator, you notice when a problem occurs, and then you have to figure out, is the person behind this service still available, or have you fixed it on your own? And this is what we are running into, not much often, but sometimes you run into this issue, and then it depends on the system administrator. Is he willing enough to fix the service, and afterwards, when the original maintainer comes back, gives it back to him and say, okay, I did this changes and everything is back, or more or less in a stable state now, or if he said, okay, I can't fix it, just disable it.
So far for us, there is almost no delegation. We are trying to do something because there is only 24 hours per day, and we have better things like idling on IRC or discussing than doing sysadmin. But so far, we are still doing a lot of sysadmin in the team, and there is no external services that are handled by someone else, or it's not part of the official infrastructure. For example, there is a French forum, which is done by someone who is not in the team and which is clearly separate.
So in Fedora, we actually do a lot of this. We have a lot of ongoing web application development that's happening at all times, and we coordinate that with our system administration team so that there is a clean handoff in a relationship that says that, you know, you were the responsible for the content, we are responsible for keeping it running, and that if it happens to break in the short term, well, we're going to try and fix it, and if you can't be found, then we're going to fix it without you, and if you can be found, then we'll come up with a better long-term fix. We host all kinds of services. We do accept services from random people that come along, but they have to go through a vetting process. It's not just, here's a big chunk of server, go to town. We also work closely to coordinate the services with each other because we don't need 5 different databases if we can have the databases, you know, make sense and be collaborative and work together and integrated well. And we don't always pull it off, but we certainly try. We also are in the early stages of doing exactly what you talked about, which is basically AMQP enabling all of our infrastructure services so that they can all send messages across the centralized bus to be able to tell each other what they're doing, and hopefully have a standardized way for people to hook into our infrastructure and be completely separate so that they can be listening for messages from the build server, for example, and take actions as a result, because we do have because of legal concerns, we do have third-party repositories that contain software that we can't ship, and it would be nice for them to know when we broke dependencies that they care about. So that's the main reason, one of the main reasons we're building that infrastructure up.
Okay, and back over to this gentleman.
I just needed to say for OpenSUSE that we have for some parts of our infrastructure, like the build system appliances, prepared as we run them on our own. So the build service and all the workers you can install on your hardware. So it works then in the same way. If you are willing to deploy them, to spend the hardware, you get all the build power, you get the infrastructure for submitting sources from one project to the other one, so you have some kind of distribution development infrastructure. It's not everything for your new distribution, but quite a lot.
Okay, who else had their hands up? Yeah, there we go.
So I have a quick question for the open build service, OpenSUSE people. Would I be
don't hide away.
Would I be allowed to do a rebuild of SLES, just like CentOS on open build server, or do you think that somebody would have a problem with that?
In short, it's called Evergreen, as far as I know, but Adrian knows more about it.
Okay.
The problem is the trademark, because SUSE is a trademark, and then you would need to have either rights to reuse the trademark, or you would really remove everything of the trademarks, and it would be legal-wise okay.
Okay, thanks. And the other question to all of you: what was the worst security incidents you ever had, or was there one?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What was the worst security incident that you've ever experienced?
The most security incident?
Worst.
When someone defaces some of the novel websites. But that doesn't affect OpenSUSE at the moment, so I can't remember any real problematic incident that we had inside OpenSUSE. I'm sorry.
For Debian, at least for the time I'm Debian system administrator, I'm not aware that we had any real security problems. We had a misconfiguration problem recently on one of the servers, but that server is not directly run by the Debian system administration team. Only accounts had been handed out through the usual account database system. The persons running those servers were not, or the machines, the machine that happened was not exactly a Debian.org machine.
But we've had in the past,
well,
like
years ago. One of the things which happened before I became sysadmin was the break-in into master.debian.org, which is, I think, 8 years ago. Does that match? Something like that. And quite a lot of work the Debian sysadmins had to do was when we had an OpenSSL library not being as random as it should be, which caused a lot of work for the sysadmins, but actually no incident did happen based on that.
Was that OpenSSL or SSH?
Both.
I can't think of any significant ones. I mean, there's been a few sort of minor experiences. There was one web app I was doing, which was sort of a demo experience, and because we were using federated OpenID, people were creating multiple accounts to try and get more free services, and you're playing cat and mouse to try and spot the same individual and trying to react to him. But other than the OpenSSH, there was that. That wasn't such a major issue. We had a local root exploit which you could fit into a tweet, which was quite good. But I don't think we've had anything significantly upsetting. I might be wrong.
Yeah, we had a misconfiguration issue once on our web server, so people used that to share documents. No porn, nothing like that, but just shared documents in there and put some ads on there. But there was no malware within there, so we just fixed the access on those directories, and I think that's the worst one we had. And to find all the stuff which was in there and to get it out of Google again, that was the largest problem, because we had those advertisements with the centros.org in front of that. It's not too good.
Well, just to complete what Ralph just said, the fact that we are just a very small set of people, we don't export a lot of things to the outside. That's what other people are usually say that it's a bad idea, by the way. But we are just less than 10 people to manage the whole thing, and the infrastructure team itself, it's something like 5 people, I guess, actually. But everything is managed by Puppet, and so normally we don't touch the machine at all. We try to not touch the machine at all. But the people writing the Puppet manifest are not the one doing the monitoring at the end, because it's too easy to ask someone to write something and to check the quality of his code. So we try to keep things separate, so people doing some sysadmin will not be the same doing the monitoring stuff, even if I'm in the same team. So that, it's like QA. I'm also doing quite a lot of QA for CentOS, and sometimes you need really to ask people to do some crazy IDs. The more stupid user, the better it would find a corner case. So try to split all those things out and separate the roles, like people writing security fix, security configuration, and try with someone else to just break it. That's a better way to find security issue.
I think we are too young to have a security incident, or at least maybe there is a big one and we didn't see. So the only thing I can think of is when an admin forgot to clean the firewall and locked out everybody of the server, but it was me. But thanks God we were able to solve that. So the biggest incident related to security.
Well, they asked me to change my password from 12345. Apparently, that was too easy to guess. So. No, I mean we're very Fedora and Red Hat as a result are a very, very big target. People are constantly trying to make a name for themselves in the 4chan community, bragging about how they broke into us, and so we get a lot of security attack attempts. I can only think of maybe one or two that have ever succeeded, and they never really did any damage. Mostly it was just a lot of, cleanup after the fact of what did they get to? Did they get to anything dangerous? Most of the time they just crawled around in an attempt directory. But we do a lot of things proactively as a result of being very visible and exposed. We have SE Linux policy enabled running on all of our systems. We have custom policies for every application that we deploy, and that minimizes the risk of a lot of things. We don't run PHP. Yeah, I mean, so, there's certain design decisions that we make. We firewall aggressively. We do a lot of logging. We do an intense amount of monitoring. We recently tightened those security requirements for user accounts in Fedora so that, you have to have an incredibly complicated and confusing password in order to have an account. And there were a lot of people that were very unhappy about that. But the good news is that we have a lot of security conscious folks in the Fedora community that can argue about what color the bike shed can be painted, and I don't have to worry about that there is no bike shed. So I think for the most part, I can't talk too much about the previous incidents because technically there's still ongoing investigations.
Just to add one more thing to that, you guys went over to two-factor authentication for SSH, didn't you, using the YubiKeys?
That's correct.
Can you just talk about how that's working out with people? Is there problems, or everyone's happy with that?
People are actually really thrilled with the YubiKey arrangement. It's worked really well for us. We've been handing them out to all of our admins so that they have them. The core important admins at the top of the tier have been using them for about 2 years now, and it has worked really reliably. It has basically allowed us to shut off access except via YubiKey to all of our core infrastructure services so that that's the only way in or out, and so that we know for sure there's this list of 10 or 15 or 20 people that have YubiKeys that are tracked, that's the only way they're able to get in is with two-factor auth to that. And certainly there's systems where we don't require two-factor auth to get in, but for anything that is deemed critical, we've locked that down, and we haven't had any concerns at all since we went to that approach.
But I mean, how do you handle, because geeks tend to lose things, right?
Well, again, so there's a YubiKey server infrastructure that basically works the same way you would exactly think it would be. So if somebody does lose a YubiKey, they go, hey, I lost my keys. I lost the YubiKey. And we go, okay, we just invalidate that key and we create a new one.
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking about the speed that you can get them a new one. Does that mean they can't work until a new one arrives through the post?
Basically. But again, they're the size of a postage stamp. So it really doesn't cost us anything to give them out. We have a large bag of them, and they give them to me, and they go around all the conferences and make sure that everybody who needs a YubiKey has one, and just tell us who you gave them to. So it's not a big concern from our perspective.
For Debian, we also do some sort of integrity checking on the file system. Look for files that changed, look for C times that changed on files, and have a central database on that. Using Samhain and tracking down which files changed and try to find out who changed that file, or at least up to now we always found the according sysadmin who did the changes.
Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left. We want to get more questions in. We're going to have to speed it up a little bit. Anybody else got questions? No? Really? Okay.
Well, a question to the audience and also to all the admins here. How do you work with the community? How do you inform community about downtimes, about service outages, and so on?
We have an infrastructure announce mailing list for that.
So everybody has to subscribe to this list, or is it public? Or?
The persons who care should subscribe to that list, yes.
So the only really infrastructure which has to go offline on an occasional basis is Launchpad, and that is expressed through, I believe, Identica, Twitter, and also as a banner as well at the top of the site. This site will be going down at this time, and other than that, I don't think we've had any other infrastructures that have had to go offline for significant periods, or for any periods that I'm aware of. No.
For Debian, most of the services are nowadays hosted in multiple data centers, so we can minimize downtime.
Rotate service.
Yes, we don't have that many people logging into systems. Downtimes normally are communicated via IRC or via internal mails. I don't think any other part. The bug tracker had to go down once because we had to move machines, and I think that was just leave the old one open with the sign, well, we're working on it, and then come back. So the rest is either there more than once, so we just can switch off one machine, the others are still in use, and then migrate over.
We use mail and a blog post. And, we try to say to people before, and sometimes before it's just like 1 hour before, but usually it's more 1 week. And that's all.
Users like to be surprised by downtime, so we just don't tell them. No. So we use mailing lists. Mostly, we have announce lists that are designed to have nothing on them but low traffic announces, and we announce if we're going to do downtime. We also do a lot of load balancing and transparent proxying to minimize the fact that we have to take servers out. Plus, we have a staging environment in addition to our production environment so that we can do changes in staging and minimize the amount of downtime we actually have to have, so there's no real surprises when we do flip a switch over.
What I would be interested in, what are you using for graphing trends of the machines? We are currently using Munin, but something like 170 machines with 30 different trend graphs doesn't scale very much with RRD. So any one of you using different tools and know something about that?
We are using PMP for Nagios, so everything in one tool.
So this is only one, so you have less RRD files?
Yes and no. PMP allows you to either use one file for one system with all services in it,
okay,
or you can, if the system is really, really great and produces a lot of input-output, you can also distribute it in many files.
Okay.
Well, what we use internally is Zabbix for the monitoring, but it has also the possibility to do some graphing. So that's what we use, and we create several groups attaching several templates that we have designed specifically for specific workloads, and analyze that and put trigger on that, so that it graphs, it informs if the load average, for example, is not that good, or if you're increasing in a way that it's not foreseen for that kind of service, for example, and the amount of users connected to the machine.
Anyone else?
Yep. We are using Xymon, formerly GNU as Obit, formerly GNU as Big Brother, because one of the admin didn't like Nagios. It was too complex, so we used Xymon, which was the same, but at least he know how to configure it, and it works fine. So there is less graph than Munin, so I would recommend to keep Munin, but yeah.
We used to use Munin, and then I think we moved over to using pretty much straight Nagios, so that we're using sort of the same setup that was described earlier.
No more questions. I would say we just finished this round table. Thanks for participating. Thanks for being here. And yeah, maybe see you here next year also to the sysadmins.